Change it.
The world of professional wrestling, truly the king of kings when it comes to sports entertainment. Now, I've been a wrestling fan for well over 30 years, and I've enjoyed the highs and lows when it comes to professional wrestling. And myself too have dabbled in wrestling way, way, way in the past. And along with that, I've always enjoyed wrestling games. So I thought today I'll start taking a look at some of my favourite wrestling games across the console generations. And kicking us off, I thought I'd take a look at the wrestling games currently available on the Nintendo Switch. And the reason why I'm kicking off with the Nintendo Switch is because I actually do like the Switch. Now, I am a huge Nintendo fan, and I have been for well over 30 years. It was the second console I ever got in my life, the first one being an Amstrad CPC, which ran on tape. So if you're old enough to remember that, congratulations. You're in the small minority that probably watches my videos, and probably the same age demographic as me. Now, I just want to state for the record, this is not a full in-depth review of each of the games that you're going to see in this video. This is just going to be a brief overview. If you'd like to see a full review of each of the games, then drop me a comment below and I can do that at some point in the future. So kicking us off, we're going to be looking at Wrestling Empire. Now, I've had this game for a while on the original Nintendo Switch, and I still currently play it on the Switch too. And it's just one of those wrestling games, as stupid as it looks and the graphics aren't probably everyone's taste. It's actually a very, very fun game in my point of view. And for only $19.99, it is an absolute bargain, especially how crazy batshit this game is. And you're probably thinking, what do I mean by that statement? And all I can say is, keep watching the video and you will find out what I mean by that statement. Created by Matt Dickey, this is a spiritual successor to Wrestling Revolution, which I originally played on iOS. Now, I use the term spiritual successor loosely, because that's how I view this game, as a sequel to Wrestling Revolution. Now, you're probably thinking, Chugs, what can I do in this game? Well, I'm going to tell you right now what you can do in this game. You can have a standard one-on-one match, tag match, all the various fun that you can have in other wrestling games. And you can also have speciality matches, which you will also find in other wrestling games as well. But where this game shines, truly, I believe, is in the story mode and also the promoter mode as well. Now, I'm not trying to take anything away from any of the other game modes. It's just that I play the story mode a lot. Way too much. I think the story mode is absolutely hilarious. In terms of the story mode, it's not a linear story where you would normally find it in any of the recent WWE games. But the way the mode works, career mode, as it's actually called, is you pick a wrestler, whether that be a wrestler that's already on the roster, or you create a wrestler and you start off in wrestling school, and the goal is to be signed by one of the major promotions. Now, the promotions in the game are based on real-life promotions. They just can't be called that, obviously, for legal reasons. But I'm sure someone with half a working brain can work out who the actual promotions are. And the same goes for the wrestlers in the game as well. Now, these are actual wrestlers with fictional names, but you can change that in the Creation Suite if you want to. Now, in career mode, you get this lovely feature which basically acts as a Wrestling Observer newsletter, which you're seeing on screen now, which basically tracks your progression throughout career and also gives you insights on how other wrestlers are doing, wherever they're happy, they're sad, they've formed a team, they've split up a team, they've moved to different promotions, and so forth. I also love the little TV rating feature which you get throughout career mode, which basically tells you how well your promotion and other promotions are doing in-game. And another nifty feature in this game is that you actually age for every year that you progress in career mode. Now, you would think, oh, well, maybe there's some end point to all this playing career mode. Well, there actually isn't. You can play career mode for as long as you like, or well, until you can reach the retirement age. Or if Death wants to throw a spanner in the works and you end up getting killed in the ring, or someone throws you in front of a moving train, that is it. Game over. But this is just not limited to you. This can happen to other wrestlers in the game as well. And when someone does finally kick the bucket and go to that big squared circle in the sky, they hold a memorial show for that wrestler, which I think is actually quite a nice little feature. Now, you do have a vast area to explore. You've not only just got the arena itself, but you've also got all of outside where you can see all of your other compadres walking around. And if you didn't like how someone was staring at you, you can literally walk up to them, take their belt, whip the living hell out of them, and then start a feud from there. And as you can see here, I'm nearly getting a feud over toilet paper because, toilet paper is the key to this. This is what you want to win. Fuck championships, it's all about that triple ply toilet paper. And it's just one of the many crazy batshit things that you can do in this game, and there is way too much to cover. It's one of those games you have to experience for yourself. Now, I'm going to let some of this play out, and then I will jump back in towards the end. So hopefully after seeing that, you've got a feel for the game. Now, one thing I didn't mention was the roster. The roster is actually well stacked, but you will find the occasional duplicate wrestler. But that aside, the roster is actually still pretty good. Like I said, they're all fictitious names, but you can get the gist of who the wrestler is, and you can actually go in the creation suite and actually change it to their real name. And you can also edit their appearance as well. So if you wanted to update how they look currently, you can also do that as well. Now, the options for changing a wrestler's appearance is pretty limited. They are presets, but again, for this style of game, it works perfectly fine. You're not going to get a one-to-one on how that person's attire looks, but you can get damn pretty close to it. And if you're playing this game on PC, you have the added benefit of adding mods into the game. So you can add in anything you'd like, whether that be textures, championships, arenas, even promotions. Now, the big question is, would I recommend this game? And I would 100% absolutely recommend this. Now, it might not be on par with the simulation-based WWE 2K games, but I think that's the charm of this game, is that you have that form of freedom. Now, it's a very easy game to pick up and play, not a lot in terms of button commands, and if you're a casual player, you'll definitely get tons of fun out of playing this. And for $19.99, it's an absolute steal, and this game still receives current updates, and this game has been out for quite some time now. And I'm hoping moving forward, Matt Dickey and his team will still continue to support this game. It might not be the prettiest game on this list, but it's definitely one of my favourite wrestling games that I like to play. And I would like to hear from you in the comments below what some of your favourite wrestling games are. Now we get into WWE 2K26. And I have to admit, it actually runs pretty damn smooth on the Switch. This is the third WWE 2K game to be released on the Switch after the disastrous WWE 2K20 and the positively reviewed 2K25, which I currently don't own on the Switch, but I do own on PlayStation. This game currently retails for as low as $39.99 in some places, and some places still at $49.99. Now, I didn't jump straight in buying this game for the Switch. I did my research to see if it was viable, if it was actually going to run really, really well, if there's going to be any hiccups. And like I said, to my surprise, the game actually runs really, really smooth. Now, you've heard me say smooth quite frequently because, yes, the game does actually run quite smoothly, but it doesn't run perfectly. And that's because you might run into the occasional frame drop here and there every now and again. Now, 2K are working on this with patch updates, and hopefully it will stay at the steady 60 frames per second. But sometimes, especially in heavy man matches, the occasional frame drop does happen. Now, I primarily play this in dock mode, so I can't speak for how the game actually runs in handheld mode, but maybe someone in the comments below can let me know. But overall, you still get that core experience from the WWE 2K series, with an added bonus that you will not find on the other consoles, and that is the Motion Mayhem mode. Now, it's a match that I haven't tried, but from what I gather, it's basically using motion controls with added power-ups throughout the match. Now you're thinking to yourself, that's actually pretty cool that the Switch gets an exclusive match type. Just remember, it's a trade-off that you do not get the option to change the graphic fidelity as you would do on PlayStation, Xbox and PC. And for some people that might be a bit of a trade-off and might turn them off to buying it on the Nintendo Switch. So what can I say about WWE 2K26? Well, not much. It's nothing new that we haven't seen on other WWE 2K titles. And this is not just a jab at 2K, but also a jab at the FIFA series and the EA series of NBA and NHL games as well. And you're probably sitting there scratching your head thinking to yourself, what do I mean by that? Well, for example, they can take a feature out of a game and then put that feature back in a later series and classify it as new. And we've seen that with the WWE 2K series in the past. Now, the big question is, what can I say about WWE 2K26? What can I say I like and what I don't like? And to that, I would say I'd probably have a few more dislikes than I do likes about this game, but those are just my general opinions. It might not be a reflection of someone else's, it's just mine. And one of those is I wasn't a big fan of the showcase mode this year, and I wasn't a fan of the showcase mode in 2K25. I was a fan of the showcase mode in 2K24 because that was 40 years of WrestleMania, but overall, I would still say WWE 2K14 outbeats everyone in terms of showcase mode. Another mode that I'm not a huge fan of is My Faction. And that's because I view My Faction as a money grabbing mode. And what do I mean by money grabbing? Well, if there is a certain persona card that you want and that you're not going to sit there and grind through levels or opening packs to get that persona, you're obviously going to take the easy option, which is to buy virtual currency to purchase that persona card. And this is where I feel 2K could have done something completely different and just had the persona cards as extra paid DLC. Now, this is not just a knock at 2K. I know a lot of other companies use microtransactions, but I just feel it's just a way to exploit their fan base. Anyway, rant over. Let's get back to the review of WWE 2K26 and let's get to some of the modes that I do like. And one of those modes is the My Rise modes. Now, it's still very linear in the sense that you follow a set path, but I think this year was just a little bit more better than, say, 2K24's. Now, at the end of My Rise, you still have the option to continue playing, or you can go back and replay if there's something that you're missing. And I like the fact that you can unlock quite a few nifty little extras and characters while playing My Rise. Another mode that I've been enjoying playing is the Geo mode. Now, Geo mode this year has been heavily updated to feature a 60-week structure, so you get a full year of booking. But ultimately, when it comes crashing down, no pun intended, most of my time is actually spent in the 2K Creation Suite, whether this be creating WWE Championships or any other championships from any other wrestling promotion, and creating arenas, especially some of the old school favourites that I remember growing up. And I think this is probably one of the best aspects about the 2K series, is that we have the freedom of, not only could we do a bygone age of wrestling, especially when it comes to the golden era, but if you wanted to do a full AEW roster or even an ECW or WCW roster, you have that choice to do so. Now, I know the Creation Suite is very limited and we could always ask for more, but for what we get, it's actually not that bad and it's very manageable. And then putting this all together into Universe mode is just the cherry on top of the sundae. And for me, that's pretty much what I do when it comes to these games, is I create what I want to create, download what I want to download, and then just put it all in Universe mode and just have an absolute blast playing through it. Now, I know the Universe mode is probably not as in-depth as it used to be when you used to be able to create your own storylines, and I wish that was a feature that they could bring back. But for what it is, it's not that bad. I know it can be a bit monotonous sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's having fun playing or doing something that you couldn't normally do. And I think that's the end goal that we've always got to remember, is it's just about having fun. Where there are things that I like and I don't like, again, it's just my opinion. Your opinion might differ. But for me, just downloading a couple of wrestlers, creating a couple of bouts, creating a couple of arenas, and just sitting there and just burning through Universe mode until my eyeballs have gone red because I forgot to blink for a long period of time. For me, that's fun. And that's evident here. As you can see, I've created the old Saturday Night Main Event arena. I've got Hulk Hogan with the Custom Championship going up against Ted DiBiase, which is from a Community Creations download. And I'm just going to have an absolute blast playing this match. Anyway, I'm going to let the rest of the video play out. I will jump back in at the end like I always do. If you're enjoying the video so far, again, drop a like and subscribe. And just let me know down in the comments below what some of your favourite wrestling games are, whether they be good, bad or indifferent. Until then, I'm going to let my main man Hulk carry on, and I will see you guys towards the end of the video.
5 decades, and I can guarantee you, Hulkamania is going to run wild on you tonight. Many have written him off as champion, but he is determined to prove his doubters wrong. Structure is called the Devil's Playground. The cell is carnal, wicked, and uncivilized. One of the most cruel, unforgiving structures ever devised. The cell will break bones. It will shred flesh. It will change bouncing right for that schoolboy here. Stopping the pin. Then it's Rhodes. Oh, just this is not going to look pretty. Submission being applied. Oh, man. Luckily, broken out of the submission hold before too much damage could be done.
Yeah, but Rhodes got to avoid ending up in that position again. Easier said than done.
Hell in a Cell has been the scene of many career-defining moments.
That is absolutely true, but you can't worry about defining your career here. You just have to focus.
What a punch! What a suplex!
He's got a plan in mind, and a table is the key ingredient.
Picked up and being carried around now.
Set through the table, incredible impact. Adding some extra impact with that table.
And that was a precisely measured attack. Trying again. Down by the throat.
Hellfire and brimstone might be in the near future for them now.
Flames essentially engulfing the ring now at their absolute peak.
And now it's going to be even harder to avoid being set on fire. Harder to maneuver around that ring. Harder to breathe. Harder to move. It's crunch time here, man.
Mankind is going to look to press on the advantage. That was the opening he needed, and he's got to keep his foot on the gas now. An unrelenting assault on Mankind.
Mankind really...
So the big question is, would I recommend WWE 2K26? And the short answer is yes. Even though there are some features that I'm not a huge fan of, especially like I said with my faction, and how they do the DLC now with the ringside pass, and also the fact that you can't buy a physical deluxe edition or collector's edition as we used to back in the day. I would still say yes. For a simulation-based wrestling game and a very decent simulation-based wrestling game, I would still say yes. The only other game that comes close to this is the Fire Pro series. And if you've never played the Fire Pro series, you would find that game or that series of games very difficult to pick up and play because there is a steep learning curve to those games. Whereas with the W2K series, you can easily pick it up, learn the controls very quickly, and start having a blast. Now, the next question is, would I also recommend it for the Switch? And the answer, again, is yes. Even though there are a few slowdowns here and there, and like I said, the majority of those I encountered through my faction, and the occasional one when I was playing a multi-man match, such as War Games and the Royal Rumble, the game still performs very, very well. And the graphics are very crisp and clear. Even though the saturation is slightly washed out compared to the Xbox and PlayStation series, it is still on point. And unless you're a hardcore gamer and you really pay attention to graphics and frames per second, yes, you are going to notice the difference. But if you're just someone that just enjoys gaming, wants to play something that you can easily pick up and play, take it with you, then yes, by all means, WWE 2K26 for the Switch, I would definitely recommend. Anyway, with that being said, we're going to jump into the next segment of this video, and I will see you there shortly. So we get into the last segment of this video, and we're going to be looking at Retromania. Now, what can I say about Retromania? Unfortunately, not a lot, because I've not had a lot of play time with this game. But from what I have played with this, if you're a big fan of the Superstars and the WrestleFest series, those arcade games back in the day, you're definitely going to have a very good time playing this game. And even the couple of matches that I had an absolute blast. It's very easy to play, a few button combinations, and I didn't find the game overly difficult. The roster itself is actually really, really good with a mixture of current wrestlers and legends, and it's something I wish to see more of. Unfortunately, as far as I'm aware, there is no current DLC plans. I could be wrong. There might be some DLC plans coming up in the future. But as it stands, this is the roster size. Hopefully, they do expand on that and we do get to see a lot more current and legends in this game. So, what can I tell you about Retromania? What game modes does it have? Well, put it simply, very limited amount of game modes. Again, it's an arcade-style wrestling game, so don't expect a lot when it comes to this. You do have your exhibition, which has your tag, your singles, I believe a battle royal, a cage, and then you also have the story mode and the £10 of gold mode. Now, the £10 of gold mode, from what I can see, is pretty much a gauntlet. You pick a wrestler, you fight through 10 wrestlers, at the very end you're facing Nick Aldis to win the £10 of gold or the NWA Championship. In the story mode, again, I've only had very limited play time when it comes to the story mode, and I wish I could tell you a lot more. But from what I played of it, the story mode is actually pretty funny, pretty in-depth for what it is. And again, what can I say about it? Not a great deal, unfortunately. But what I can say is I do like the overall presentation of how this game looks. I like the entrances, I like the ring announcement, I like the arenas that you can pick from, and the wrestlers themselves, the sprites, actually look pretty damn good. Pretty detailed as well, especially to give that 16-bit arcade feel. You even get a decent representation of the wrestlers' themes in 16-bit. Even though they're very short, you still do get a good representation of those themes. And all the wrestlers come with their iconic finishers as well. Now, Retromania has been out for some time. This game initially came out in 2021 and still retails for $17.99, with its only DLC pack coming in at $8.99. Now, I wish we could have seen more DLC packs for this game, but unfortunately, considering how long this game has been out for, I can't see any more DLC packs coming in the future, which is quite a shame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the rest of this video play out, and then I will jump back in at the end like I always do, just to give my final thoughts of the game.
High School, are you ready for the stars of Retromania Wrestling? The following singles match is scheduled for one fall and has no time limit. Introducing first, from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Big Stevie Cool. And his opponent, from Leapers Fork, Tennessee, it's the Cowboy, James Storm.
Maneuver.
Now, I wish I could say a lot more about Retromania. Unfortunately, I can't. Like I said, I've only played a couple of hours of this game, and I wish I could give you a lot more in-depth review, but I just can't, unfortunately. Hopefully, if I play a lot more of it, I can always revisit it and give you a more in-depth review. From what I do like, I like how the wrestlers are represented in this. I love the aesthetic, the feel. It's very easy to pick up and play. Again, very reminiscent of WWE Superstars and WrestleFest. We do get commentary. It's very basic commentary, but it is there. I also love the kick-ass tunes while we're in the match as well. They're very upbeat, and easily I find myself sometimes just tapping along to them. Now, if you don't want to pay the $17.99, sometimes this does go on sale on the Nintendo eShop, but again, $17.99 is not exactly going to be breaking the bank, considering how much I paid for WWE 2K26 on the Switch. Anyway, hopefully you have been enjoying the video thus far. I know my voiceovers aren't always the greatest, and it's something I'm definitely working on towards the future. Speaking of the future, I'm still going to continue looking at wrestling games on other consoles, so hopefully you stick around for that as well. I'm also going to try and post other videos in the meantime, whether those be full-on reviews or just the occasional short that I do, just so you have something that you can always sink your teeth into. Now, unfortunately, I can't give you a definitive timeline when I might upload a video, but if you do hit the notification icon, you will be notified when I do, and hopefully moving forward, I will try and get more content out to you guys. That is the overall plan. But with my current schedule, I do find it a little difficult sometimes, but eventually I do want to try and get as much content out to you as possible. With all that being said, again, I hope you enjoy the video. I will see you in the next one. Remember, a winner is you, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye-bye.